Okay, we are live. We are absolutely live for a special emergency broadcast scheduled to start at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And that is the stunner, the gold stunner on the bench. It's on the bench because on wrist is the titanium stunner, the titanium stunner. And here's a post I posted recently to Facebook saying for a heavy use watch, you can't beat the SBGA 231. And we have a winter storm predicted to be coming here to Maryland the next couple days. Of course, the media often hype these things up, so who knows if we'll have any storm at all. But this is the type of situation where you need an extreme use watch. You need an extreme use watch when you have a below zero winter storm, maybe a blizzard, howling winds, etc. And the titanium makes this watch extremely comfortable on wrist, extremely comfortable on wrist. The thermal properties of it are such that it makes it extremely comfortable in all temperatures. And of course, the spring drive movement that's in this diver is extremely robust and keeps accurate time at any temperature, extremely accurate, much more accurate than, for example, a Rolex Submariner, not even a close call, and more robust because this does not have a typical escapement, which is apt to fail in extreme situations. So for extreme use, you can't beat the SBGA 231 titanium stunner, the titanium stunner. Of course, the the 002 could also handle extreme conditions. Don't get me wrong. That is a very durable spring drive movement in that stunner. Just because that's a beautiful watch, absolutely stunning watch, doesn't mean it's not robust. That's the beauty of the 002 stunner, is it's as robust as most of the other spring drives. Maybe not quite as robust as the diver, because the diver's built to dive standards to take extreme shock and so on and so forth, but very robust from an everyday watch standpoint, accurate, won't require servicing literally for decades. These spring drives are they basically self-adjust. So as it goes on, decade after decade, it just keeps accurate time the whole time, and there's less wear and tear because there's no typical escapement. So they've been known to go decades without any issues. So extremely robust. And but in extreme cold, I still think you have to go with the titanium stunner. You have to go with the titanium stunner in extreme weather conditions, and that's what's predicted for the state of Maryland over the next couple of days. So we'll see how that whole thing works out. And we've got a couple of comments in here. And we're early. Yes, this is a special emergency early broadcast, emergency broadcast. John's in the house. There's too much space on that diver, though. They should have made the dial a little smaller. Well, depends on how old your eyes are. For me, this thing is very visible, very easy to read. And I actually like the smaller indices, or markers, I guess is the term we should use. I never really liked the oversized markers when they went to the super case, not super case, but the what did they call it? The dial on the sub when they went to the bigger markers. I kind of like the classic ones better. I thought they kind of overdid it. So to me, I kind of like the size of this. And when you look at it in person, they look very sharp, very well defined, and it's very easy to tell the exact time. It's easy to tell when the minute hand is on the 5 marker, for example, or the 10 marker or whatever. You really have to see it in person, I think, to appreciate the overall design. The maxi dial, yes, the maxi dial. Yeah, I kind of like the classic dial a little more. I always wondered why I liked the red sub that I had that I sold to Paul Faupel, why that was such a cool watch. And I think that might have been one of the things. Of course, the shape of the case is another thing. The case was gorgeous on that watch. They should have never changed it. Let me see if I can find the red sub. Hold on a second here. Well, there it is on Paul's wrist. There it is on Paul's wrist. But I know I have a close-up shot of that. Let me see if I can find that. All right, I can't find it. I'm going to have to find the video is what I'm going to have to do. Just give me a second here. Okay, we're going to play this video. And this is the red sub that I sold to Paul Falkfeld. Skip this ad here. Give us a second. So it's Friday, October 19, day one of Steve's big watch event. The big day is tomorrow, Saturday, the second day of the event. But I ran into a friend of mine, an old friend, Paul, who has a red sub that was made in the early 70s that I bought in the early 80s and then ended up selling to him and in around 1983, 84. And he still has the watch. How cool is that? And I interviewed him. He had the watch with him. Okay, I'm here at Little Treasury Jewelers, and I'm here with Paul Falkfeld. Say hello.
Hello.
You guys can watch that on my channel, the whole interview. But yeah, definitely prefer the old classic Submariner case and design. Carlos is saying hello, and John says, I have a Pure Monaco Titan in titanium and is extremely light and comfortable. Don't know if you are a fan of that design though. Send me a link. We'll take a look. And let's see. Are we live? Yes, we are, kind of. Craig, when you saw the Tudor in person, apart from your previous opinion about it, did you feel that our hand that ugly? Not quite as ugly as when you look at macro shots. Obviously, if you look at a close-up of it, it's going to look even uglier, right? But no, I see no reason to have that watch, especially given the watches that you have that are much better options to wear. So yeah, I would get rid of that Tudor immediately if you can. If you can get out from underneath that Tudor, I would do that and just wear one of your other watches. You got a lot of nice watches you can wear. Life is too short to wear a Tudor, especially when you have a bunch of other watches that are much nicer. Brief at Dance says hi. She's in the house. David's in the house. See, David, I don't know where he's now. Are you still in Vegas or you moved somewhere else? You're probably not going to get hit by any of this super cold weather. So you don't have to worry about a cold weather watch. Early show says Brief at Dance. Yes. I haven't done a show for a while, so I figured I would try to squeeze a show in. Okay, so you put a link. Unfortunately, I can't click on the link I can bring up your comment, but I can't click on the link. You'd have to email that to me. You'd have to email that link to me, and then I can bring it up. If you can bring it, email, it's my name, CraigShipp@gmail.com. Oh, yes. Hello, all. You're right, Craig. That red line case is gorgeous. Ray in the house. I tried to tell somebody on one of the forums. He says, "Who are you to to tell people what watch is attractive and what watch isn't attractive and so on and so forth?" I said, "I'm an expert. That's who I am." I felt like saying, "Who the hell are you?" Right? I mean, I, and then I was trolling. I was trolling the shit out of him. Right? He responded, "What? Oh, that explains it." What? And I said, "Yes, I've been proven to be 99.99% correct all the time." And see, I was just validated right there by Ray. He validated my accuracy rating, and so there you go. Brief It Dance in the house. Some Bitcoiners are mad at me because I did a video for Hex and altcoin, but I got paid in Bitcoin for the music video. Way to go, Breeze, stacking Bitcoin. Hey, stack away. It's crunch time. It's crunch time. This year might be 2022 might be the last year you're going to be able to buy Bitcoin under $50,000. It might be the last year that you're going to be able to buy it under $50,000. So some people might regret missing the opportunity. We don't know for sure. Like Carlos would say, Bitcoin could go to zero, right? But doesn't look likely. In Las Vegas now, though, up north for the prior 3 weeks, one day got down to negative 26. Well, there you go. Wow. So hopefully you had a heavy use. What watch did you have on? Did you find anyone not narcissist around the watch community? And so some of these people are still making the same mistakes, paying big money for a steel Rolex and then bragging about it on all the forums. And then they're scared to wear the watch because they don't want to scratch it, right? So they keep it in the box. They take it out very carefully out of the box to take some pictures of it to put on social media, to put in the forums, and flex that they've got this steel stunner that's going to continue to go up in value. This one guy says, "Yeah, it's an amazing investment." Blah blah blah. I said, "An investment that you might have bought at the top of the market, right?" So, "Oh, no. These steel Rolexes, they're going to go up forever. They're a great investment," and so on. I said, "Well, you do know that steel is not a luxury material, right? You do realize that steel is just ordinary. There's nothing extraordinary about steel in any way, shape, or form, and that this is all hype. You do realize that, right?" Said, "Oh, no. This isn't hype. What are you talking about? Steel watches could be worth $200,000 or $300,000. Just a routine Rolex Oyster Perpetual is worth $200,000 or $300,000 now. This is just the way of the world. Steel is the new luxury material. A stainless steel fork is going to be worth, $1,000 pretty soon. Stainless steel is the way of the future." That's what he said. Let's see. Carlos says, "So far I'm wrong about BTC, but my opinion is still the same." Okay, we'll talk about that. Jason's in the house. Saw someone ask about a tutor on Facebook. Had a feeling Craig was going to be in the comments. Clicked on it. Number one comment was Craig with a politically correct tutor rejection. Yeah, and I don't remember what they said, but anyway, how they responded. Okay, so let's talk about Carlos. So far I'm wrong. Okay, but here's the problem, Carlos, with that. Here's the problem with being wrong so far is Dave Ramsey since 2013 and even before that, I think, but I have video records of him going back to 2013 of him advising his many listeners not to buy Bitcoin. Thank God I didn't listen to him on that advice. I've listened to him on a lot of his other advice, but he's repeatedly told his listeners not to buy Bitcoin. Not even a small percentage of your portfolio. Don't gamble, don't buy Bitcoin, right? And those people have lost out tremendously. They could have done like me. They could have bought a certain amount of Bitcoin and then rode it up and then sold enough Bitcoin to take their initial investment off the table so that then they're basically playing with the house's money, right? They could have put just 1% of their portfolio in Bitcoin and they'd have done really well, a lot of them. And so that's the problem with being negative about something that then turns out to do really well. What I would do in that kind of a situation is I would just not comment at all. If I thought something was now I do comment on altcoins because they're scams. Most of them are scams. So scams you got to call out, right? But absent it being a scam, I'll just say, hey, I don't know enough about it. I'm not going to give an opinion on it, right? But when you say that you think that it's going to go down or that it's a bad investment or whatever, and then other people pay attention to that, they could really lose money. They could lose out on a significant opportunity. And that's what Dave Ramsey did to a lot of his listeners. So that's how that whole thing works. Let's see. Okay, so I read that one. Craig, I emailed you, but what do you think of that ridiculous price of the Tiffany Blue 41? Hey, if the seller can get ridiculous, insane money out of a steel Rolex right now, they should do that, and then they should rejoice. They should rejoice that they were able to do it. 35K meteorite dial Daytonas are going for 190K. There you go. A fact is that since you and me started to talk together about BTC, it grew 1,000%. I can't argue about that. Wow. Okay. All right. So let me go back to the email here. Email. Okay. You know, of all the square watches, oh, for Christ's sake, I'll accept your damn cookie. Just get the damn thing off the it's a lousy website. Can't get a great look at it. Of all the square watches out there and all the square watches with busy dials, this is probably the one that I would like. I like the colors at the top. I like the kind of like the racing heritage. Wasn't it like Steve McQueen or somebody cool that wore one of these or whatever? I mean, I think there are better options out there, but that I think, you know, I could give a you know, some wiggle room on that one. I think it's kind of cool. I think it's kind of cool. How thick is it? How thick does it sit on the wrist? Hopefully it sits kind of flat on the wrist. That would help. But yeah, I'm not totally against that one. So let me see. I got another email here. And Carlos sent in this nice pic. Look at the setting. Look at the setting where he's watching the show. How cool is that? Talk about a nice setting. Wow. Two big thumbs up for that setting there. Let's see here. And by the way, Carlos, on your 1,000% thing, you know, there are people that are still saying that Bitcoin's going to go to zero. People that are still saying it's going to go to zero. I don't know. There's too many people adopting it. There's too many, you know, countries are starting to adopt it. There's rumors that Tonga, they don't have that many people, but they do a lot of remittances, that they're going to adopt it as legal tender. There's rumors that some other countries might do it. 2022, I think, will be the year that we're going to see if Bitcoin really gets a solid foundation of adoption. And if, for example, if it can hold anywhere close to the kind of numbers that it's holding now, $40,000 for a Bitcoin through the year, even if it dips down to like 30K and then goes back up again or whatever, if it can average more than 40,000 for 2022, and if there's significant additional adoption, I think the foundation will be laid for this thing just becoming the protocol for money on the internet. and 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 I think it'll be difficult for any other protocol to displace it. I think it'll be too entrenched, just like the protocols that we use for email and for video streaming and so on. Once they get entrenched, it's very difficult to unseat them. So I think 2022 is really going to be the litmus test for Bitcoin, if it's really going to do what some of us hope it will do. And Dan says hello. I love the history of that rush, but I cannot see it with me here. Carlos in the house. I chip in the wrench gang. Our wags in the house. What do you think, our wags? There's some people that are saying that Bitcoin's going to go to zero. What do you think? Is it going to be zero, or is it going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars? It's probably going to be one or the other in the next couple years. What do you think? What's your guess? Not financial advice, just personal opinions here. Zero or hundreds of thousands of dollars? And yes, Steve McQueen wore it, and he's super cool. How much snow are you getting? Nothing yet. Nothing yet. How much did you get? Wow, I want to be in a tropical place like Carlos, says Brianna, especially as cold as it is today. Leslie says, wow, is she reacting to Carlos's place? Yeah, she says, hi, all. Leslie in the house. Okay, Jason's hanging out. He says, hey to everyone. Kyle's in the house. And BTC to 100K in 2022, says Jason. You know, typically this is the year where we actually have a down year. We had 3 up years, 3 green candles in a row, 3 years in a row, right? And then typically that next year is a down year, and then we pick back up with the green candles again. So technically, based on past performance, we're supposed to have a down year this year. I think it could go either way. I think we could be slightly down and then take off next year, or we could just take off. If another major country, if Brazil, says, okay, Bitcoin's legal tender, I mean, Katie, bar the door. Katie, bar the door. This thing could go crazy. I just dumped about 60K of you mean BTC? Wow. John selling at the bottom. Okay. Hey, Bitcoin naturally flows from the weak hands to the strong hands. That's the way it does. It flows from the weak to the strong hands. We got to have weak hands in order for those of us that are buying to be able to buy. I still think it would go to zero. While when I purchased BTC for the first time at around $100, like 11 years ago, I would prefer to have another opinion then. So what do you think is going to force it to go to zero? What do you think is going to be the trigger that everybody's going to give up on Bitcoin and start selling their Bitcoin like crazy, just liquidating and just driving the price that far down and just killing the whole thing? What do you think is going to be the trigger to do that? Craig, should Toyota have continued to produce the 2nd-gen Prius concurrently with the new garbage? I haven't looked at the new ones, but I really like mine. Yeah, I think the 2nd-gen Prius is potentially the best car ever made. I mean, they're just absolutely freaking amazing. Craig, have you made sure Bree hasn't sold? Bree, I think, believe it or not, I think Bree has a stronger hand than me. She doesn't even consider selling. She's like, it's not even a possibility. I mean, she's just accumulating, and she absolutely has iron hands. Yes. We just got a trace of snow all gone. The south and northeast are going to get most of the snow. Yeah, we'll see. And again, sometimes they hype these things up and we don't get anywhere near what they're talking about. So sometimes there's a lot of hype in the media. Imagine that. Jason, down years are also a great time to stack sats. Yeah, for anybody who doesn't have what they feel is enough Bitcoin in their stack, they shouldn't want the price to go up. They should want to be able to keep stacking at as low a price as possible. Tonga got wiped out by a volcano today. I heard there was a tsunami or something. But see, most of the Tongans live overseas. They don't live at Tonga. And so they'll have to now send even more money in the form of remittances if there's damage there and so on to rebuild and so forth. So having something like Bitcoin where they can send the money with zero fees, just like El Salvador can do now, where they can send remittances with zero fees from the United States to El Salvador. Being able to do that in Tonga will be a big benefit. So there you go. The NASDAQ will determine the price of BTC. I wonder how that works. Let's see. I'm not sure what that is. $0 when Elizabeth Warren calls for the executions of BTC holders. I think a lot of BTC holders don't really care what Elizabeth Warren calls for, or anybody else with the government. That's the beauty of Bitcoin, is we can do what we want with our Bitcoin, regardless of what the government says. And there are more and more people that have that feeling, Craig, how would you rate Tongan woman? I don't know. That's a good question. We'll have to check that out. We might have to go to Tonga. If they make it legal tender, we might have to go to Tonga and check it out. What is a great cold weather watch? I think a gold snowflake is a good one. Yes, I think anything in titanium, especially the alloy that Grand Seiko uses, I think that's the way to go. And I think the diver, tell you the truth, not just because I'm wearing it, but I think the diver is the best choice for extreme weather conditions because it's made to handle extremes. That's how they get a diver's certification and so forth. It has to be able to handle certain extremes. And so I think you want to go with the diver. So that would be my choice, would be the diver. Bitcoin will continue to exist as long as people see even the smallest value in it. I mean, there is value in old postage stamps, then why not Bitcoin? Interesting. Craig, a lot of smart people believe in BTC. Goldman, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, Merrill Lynch, Fidelity, etc., all investing in BTC. I believe it will continue to gain acceptance as time goes by. We will see. I tend to agree with you. And so far, it keeps growing year over year. It keeps growing. I think the network has been doubling every year, the number of people that are involved in the network. See, and that's the most important stat, in my opinion, not the current value, but how many people are actually getting involved in the network, opening up wallets, buying Bitcoin for the first time, sending it from one person to another, seeing how it functions. I think that's what we need to keep an eye on. If that keeps increasing, if the network effect keeps doing its thing, then I don't see what's going to stop it. I really don't. There might be some bumps in the road, but I don't see something stopping it. Craig, people realizing that is a bubble behind a good idea. Okay, let me get back to this here. People realizing that is a bubble behind a good idea and good economic discourse without any real value apart from the huge amount of energy used to mine it. I think that, first of all, the energy thing, the more energy that we use as human beings, the higher our standard of living. That's been true for, thousands of years. When we learned how to make a fire and burn some wood and cook our food, right? As time progressed, the more energy humans use, the better. Okay. And so even though you've got all these idiots, these doom and gloomers that say that the oceans are going to boil and Florida is going to be underwater in 2 years and all this stuff, doesn't change the fact that most people realize that the more energy we use, the better for human flourishing. Okay, so that is the energy thing. Now, if people realize what Bitcoin can do, we just gave some examples of the remittance payments and so forth. The fact that I can have a bearer asset for the first time in human history, I can have a bearer instrument that I can control, that nobody can take away from me, that I can, if I need be, I can move from one state to the other or from one country to the other, and I can take this with me. Wouldn't the Jews have loved to have had something like that in the late 1930s? Okay. Wouldn't they have loved to have been able to take their wealth with them when they left Germany? Many of them left everything behind. They were screwed. And of course, many of them got killed because they didn't want to leave and leave everything behind. So to have a bearer asset that's totally portable, that you control, that nobody can take away from you, I think as people start realizing that that's the promise of Bitcoin, that more and more of them will want to buy and hold it. And so I think that in a bubble, most bubbles don't last 13 years. I don't see this as a bubble. I see this as an asset that some people see as valuable, and that the market is discovering, the free open market, that price discovery is going on, that we're discovering the value of Bitcoin. What is it? Right now, people are saying it's worth $43,000. Obviously, it's very volatile, so everybody has their opinion on the value of it, right? The people that are holding it have a number that they might sell at, right? People that want to buy it have a number that they might buy at. That's just a free open market. But a bubble, I mean, most bubbles don't pop like 4 or 5 times. This thing has gone up parabolically and then corrected several times, like 80% corrections, and then reinflated, right? How many bubbles reinflate like that? I think this is price discovery. It's just like Amazon stock went through the same thing. I think it's price discovery. I wouldn't describe it as a bubble, but we'll see. Time will tell the tale. GS9F is fairly impervious to extreme weather. Good point. And if you had one that was titanium, like the one that, darn it, who has it? Somebody has a titanium one in here. Leslie, let us know who has a titanium 9F. Somebody has a titanium 9F out there. Maybe they can answer the question. I think it's Kyle. I think he has a 9F that's titanium, and maybe he can answer the question. Of course, he's in a mild weather situation. The biggest fear for Bitcoin exists is a replacement of Bitcoin by something else, something unexpected like Bitcoin itself was very difficult to do. I think this is a one-time opportunity because Bitcoin was created and was able to fly under the radar for a significant period of time, and the creator disappeared, right? So you can't go after the creator. It's completely decentralized. It's very difficult to attack because it's so robust and so decentralized. I think it would be very difficult to recreate that. I think it's impossible actually to recreate that. All the altcoins that are trying to be the next Bitcoin, they're all centralized. They can all be attacked by the government and shut down very easily. Bitcoin, not so much. Leslie in the house. Craig, have you seen retired watch store Paul Thorpe's video on the new Rolex watches? No, I haven't. I got to check it out. I have the new 5-day Spring Drive White Birch reserved at Little Treasury. When are you picking it up? Do tell. Do tell. When are you picking it up? We want details. Craig, do you still use the same toilets that came with your house? How important is a good toilet? All I did was I added a bidet. It's just an attachment that I added, a bidet or whatever the terminology is. But yeah, I used the original one with just that added, and it's a good, comfortable toilet. But yes, I think a toilet is very important. If yours is not comfortable, not a good one, upgrade. Jason, Leslie, you mean the 2022 leaks, Return of the Hulk, and stainless steel bezel Daytona? Yes, okay. Our wags in the house. Craig, that's my bearer bonds were eliminated by the government, much like BTC. Nobody could control the asset. Yeah, and those, some people found them to be handy. You know, you over the centuries, there have been many times when governments have confiscated wealth from the people. through various methods. Like right now, you can make an argument that the US government is confiscating wealth through inflation. They're devaluing the dollar. And so wealth that people have saved up in US dollars is being, wiped away. And so, governments use various means to basically take the hard-earned, uh, the fruits of labor, right? That people have saved up or tried to save up. Governments figure out a way to take those assets. And so if we have a way to set something aside that they can't get to that is worldwide. See, this is the beauty of this thing. It is worldwide. So if one country like China tries to crack down on it, another country says, hey, come on over here, you Bitcoiners. Bring your mining operations, bring your money, bring your wealth. Like El Salvador is trying to set up Bitcoin City, right? A whole city that's based on Bitcoin because they want people to come there. They want Bitcoiners, right? So if one country says, get out of here, there's going to be 10 other countries that say, come on, come on. And so it's game theory, right? And we're going to see how this whole thing plays out. It's going to be good watching. Jason in the house. I think going back to the Hulk after a couple of years and back to stainless steel bezel on Daytona would be an odd move. When is Rolex scheduled to release the new models this year? Good question. It's not energy use that's the problem. It's waste because energy use that causes it's waste because of energy use that causes problems. Go to countries that use lots of coal and you will see health problems in humans and animals. Obviously, if people make poor decisions, there's going to be problems. But, this country, during the Industrial Revolution, we generated a lot of pollution, right? We had dirty cities and, we had all that stuff and we figured out how to clean it up quite a bit. And we're all the time figuring out how to clean it up. Obviously, the solution to energy is probably modern nuclear power, right? Which is very safe. But of course, a lot of the environmental, nut jobs, they're against nuclear, right? And so they want you to go back to the Stone Ages. But the bottom line is energy use is good for humanity. And the more we use, basically, the higher our standard of living. Now, how we create that energy, that can be up for debate, but you need it. You need it. You absolutely need as much energy as possible to be as comfortable as possible. You heard it here first. Energy is energy is life. I mean, think about it. It comes from the sun. You get energy coming down from the sun that grows the crops, everything is about energy. And Bitcoin is stored energy. That's what Bitcoin is. It's digital energy. Yes, that's what it is. Ever been to Thailand and did you partake in the evening attractions? No, I have not been to Thailand. New white birch expected February 15, give or take. Cool. Craig, in 10 years, we will continue being friends. Then we will review this. I think we're going to know that Bitcoin's successful or not before that. Don't you agree, Carlos? I think we should know in the next couple years, shouldn't we? If the adoption continues and the use continues to accelerate and continues to grow at the rate that it's been growing, I think we can safely assume after a couple more years that we're good to go. The Lindy effect kicks in. The Lindy effect, right? The longer something hangs around, the more likely it's going to hang around. Just like a business. The longer it's in business, the more likely it's going to stay in business. Honestly, I would prefer not to be very right. Some friend losing money with it, or very wrong. BTC substituting USD as reference currency. Something has to give. The way they've been devaluing the dollar, something at some point is going to have to give. A lot of countries are figuring out ways around the dollar right now. I mean, Russia is figuring out ways to sell their oil in ways other than the dollar and so forth. I mean, so countries are working on workarounds as we speak. Craig, you wouldn't like the new Rolex's pink gold Submariner, for God's sake. Oh, you're kidding me. No, you're kidding me. That's awesome, Jason. I'm glad they came out with that. Okay. Rolex, we used to have bearer share certificates until like 5 years ago. Okay. Energy use is just the latest attack on BTC in an attempt to take it out. That's correct. And I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to work. Well, I do not agree with the energy use of my kids with the air conditioning 24 hours a day, setting it to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. I hear you. You know, if someone does not see any value in Bitcoin, does not see a benefit to Bitcoin, then any amount of energy that it uses is waste, right? If somebody sees a benefit in Bitcoin, then they might say, well, it's worth it to use the energy. So it depends on if you see a use case for Bitcoin and if you see a benefit for Bitcoin. I see a huge benefit for all mankind to be able to have a secure store of value that no government can manipulate, that nobody can take away from you, that is your sovereign property, right? I see a lot of benefit in that, all right, because a lot of countries have terrible problems with inflation, a lot worse than what we're getting right now in the U.S., which is pretty bad. But a lot of countries, you forget about it. They literally devalue your currency to nothing almost overnight, and you just lose everything, right? These people would have loved to have had access to Bitcoin before all that happened, right? So I think there are a lot of people around the globe that would love to have access to Bitcoin, not to mention all the people that are totally unbanked, that have no access to banking services whatsoever. Now, all of a sudden, they can have a way, let's say you're in some African country or whatever, and you're a pretty good programmer. You can figure out how to program or whatever. Now, all of a sudden, you can set up a Bitcoin wallet and somebody in Silicon Valley can pay you to do some programming in Bitcoin, and nobody can mess with it. Nobody can stop it. Nobody can block it. Nobody can do a damn thing about it. You can work and get paid. And that is going to be available to billions of people that, as of now, have no access to any kind of banking services like that, have no way for somebody to pay them. So I see a tremendous value in that. So the fact that Bitcoin might use a lot of energy, I see that as a good thing. I say, hey, go at it. Look at the benefit. Look at the benefit to that energy use. And energy is a competitive market. Energy producers are going to sell it to whoever they can get the most money for that energy from. And if that happens to be a Bitcoin mining operation, they're going to sell the energy to them. If it happens to be a factory building widgets or whatever, they're going to sell the energy to them. It's a competitive environment, right? One of the real benefits of Bitcoin from a standpoint of an energy producer is Bitcoin will be a customer of last resort many times, where they will buy energy from that hydroelectric dam, for example, that nobody else wants. Let's say it's 2:00 in the morning and the demand is very low and they've got this energy. Now they can sell it over to these miners and get money for energy that otherwise they'd get zero for, right? And you've got stranded energy. You've got an oil well that might have natural gas coming out that it's not worthwhile for them to run a pipeline, and it's not worthwhile for them to truck it. But they can set up a mining operation right there and use that natural gas to mine Bitcoin. Then that is, again, a tremendous benefit to that operation. So there are a lot of potential benefits to Bitcoin consuming energy. Yes, consuming energy. So what are the cold weather watches? You got to rewatch the show. This is one of them, the diver. Yes, the diver. And of course, your 9F movement is extremely robust and can handle cold weather. So you don't have to worry. Your 9F stunner is good to go in the cold weather. Do you think girls with thick thighs and loud laughs are attractive? probably not as attractive with as girls that don't have the thick thighs and that aren't distracting with their laughs. Probably. Probably. I like to wear my watches with leather straps in the colder months. Okay. Well, I'll tell you, you know from firsthand experience that 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 stunner right there is super comfortable in all weather conditions. Super comfortable in all weather conditions because you have one. Jason has a stunner like that. By the way, my older kid seems very interested in crypto. I know you hate the generic. As a learning experience, we're setting up a small crypto fund that he will manage. Yeah, I would pass on all the S coins. Again, a lot of them are scams, probably pretty much all of them. And yes, you can make some money if you get in on one of those things early and then get out if you time it right. But I think that's very risky business, and I don't like supporting scammers, so I stay away from those things. Craig, would you marry the ugliest woman on earth for one BTC? I don't think so. No, I think it would have to be more BTC than that, and I of course would have to have a premarital agreement so that I could get a divorce right away. So yeah, if I had a rock solid, let me think this through. If I had a rock solid prenup so that we could get married and then I could just basically instantly get divorced, 40 grand? Yeah, I'd probably do that for one BTC. Why not? Why not? Why not, I say. Okay. All right. On that note, I think we're going to wrap this puppy up. We addressed the emergency situation, and I think things are good. I do have to adjust the white balance a little bit on this main camera, though. I think the white balance is off just a little bit, but we can do that at some point. Maybe next time Brianna's here, we'll do a white balance check on this camera. Let's see, Djokovic. Kyle was laughing. Djokovic in court again in 2 hours' time. Maybe he is paying his lawyers with BTC. Well, if I do not live with them, and I can marry a lot of them, I will do. Not sure my wife. Yeah, see, I think in some jurisdictions it's actually illegal to get married if you're already married. I think that could be an issue too on that. Fortunately, I'm not already married, so I could do it. I could marry for one Bitcoin. I could marry for one Bitcoin. Craig looking swagged out today in the suede vest. I'll tell you, this is a very comfortable vest. It feels really nice, and it does add some warmth and so forth. I have a number of these vests. I have two suede vests. One that's very similar to this, but doesn't have the collar. Okay, it doesn't have the collar around the neck. And it's a darker brown. And then I have several leather vests that are smooth leather, right? But this is just so comfortable. And this one is, I want to say, I think it was made in Turkey. I think this one was made in Turkey. Let me see. I have a picture here of it, and I labeled it in my clothing. Yeah. So there it is. It's an Orvis, made in India. And so yeah, it's very well made, very comfortable. My other Orvis that is a suede vest was made in the United States. So, but this one, I tell you, all the stitching, the suede itself, the detailing around the pocket, you can probably see that. It's all really well done. So they, you know, They nailed it in India this time. They nailed it. Djokovic makes me proud. Dona Seiko. Okay. I am okay. Do you believe in the color red protects you from demons? I think possibly. Carlos is in the house. India is not what it used to be under the British Empire. Carlos in the house. Yeah, and this was probably made. I'm trying to think. I probably got it in the early '80s, mid '80s, something like that. And Orvis made some of their stuff in the U.S. and some of it they outsourced. Some of their stuff was made in England. They didn't have anything made in China. Not back in the day. Now they do. Now a lot of their stuff is made in China. But back in the day, they were making stuff in like India, like England, and the U.S. primarily. Orvis. Do girls need abs to be attractive? It probably helps. I think just overall fitness and tone is very attractive for a lot of reasons. Because it shows the man that the young lady takes care of herself. You know, if somebody's like really out of shape and has like real bad body odor and all this stuff, I mean, and a whole bunch of piercings and tattoos and stuff, and just looks like just an overall mess. I think that the man would think that, man, this is going to be like not fun. This whole situation is not going to be fun. So, yeah, I think that would be an issue. People say, well, don't judge a book by the cover. Well, the cover shows a lot about the person. I hate to break that news, but it shows a lot about the person. Yes, it does. Typical Carlos, supporting imperialism, conquistador blood. Craig, please explain to us what the deal is between you and Bitcoin. I see you on Flickr wearing clothes with the Bitcoin logo and all. Do you get money or Bitcoin to promote Bitcoin? No, unfortunately, Bitcoin has no marketing department. Bitcoin doesn't have an office, doesn't have a CEO. Bitcoin has no employees, okay? Bitcoin is a decentralized project that anyone that works on Bitcoin or puts forth effort to help Bitcoin does so as a volunteer. They don't get paid. Now, if you buy Bitcoin and you hold Bitcoin, and then the Bitcoin network expands and grows, your Bitcoin might go up in value. So you're basically speculating. If you buy and then hold Bitcoin, there's different reasons why people would do that, but one of the big reasons is people do think the value is going to go up. They do think that the network is going to continue to grow and that therefore the value of the Bitcoin is going to go up, because there's only going to be a maximum of 21 million Bitcoin produced, 21 million Bitcoin produced. And so because it's a limited supply thing, if interest in that item continues to grow, in other words, more people want to buy it, more people want to hold it, etc., more people want to use it, then the theory is that the value will go up. But Bitcoin, no, they have no marketing budget. They don't pay anybody to market it. There are companies that are involved in Bitcoin, like there are exchanges that will help you buy it and that will help you sell it and will take a percentage for that action and so forth. There are companies that do that sort of thing that then hire people and people work for them and they pay them a salary and so forth. But that isn't Bitcoin. That's a company that is providing a service that might involve Bitcoin. But Bitcoin itself has no employees, has no main office, has no president, has no CEO, has no accountants, has no lawyers. It is basically a protocol that runs on the internet, that runs on thousands of computers around the internet, decentralized. Bitcoin is just a protocol. That's really all it is. It'd be nice if they would pay me. I would be open to payments. Now, Brianna, she gets paid for doing videos, and she does, anybody can hire her to do a video as long as it's, you know, family friendly content. They can hire her to do a video, and she accepts Bitcoin as payment, right? But that Bitcoin doesn't come from any Bitcoin company. It would come from some individual. Let's see. Carlos is laughing. British used to be. And by the way, I also promote anything that I believe in, like high quality clothes, nice watches, the right car, anything I believe in, I'll promote because I think that's helpful to people. A particular lens for my camera. I do a lot of product reviews on different products. I benefit from product reviews that I watch on the internet, and some people have benefited from the product reviews that I've done. So you scratch my back, I scratch yours. You don't want to breed with a smelly person. Hey, Craig, how have you been today? I think some people are trying to delay the closing of the show here. I think I'm being had here. 1 to 10, how good of a dancer are you? Me? Probably a 2. Bree's a 10. I'm a 2. That is what I tell you, my 14-year-old son, when he gets out after driving, diving in the fragrance flask. Okay. Craig, would you date a woman that refuses to take off her mask even in the bedroom? Oh my God. I don't even want to hang around with somebody that wants to wear a mask. I think masks are silly. Absolutely silly. Bree isn't it nature. If a girl and a guy have great abs, then they attract one another because it's more likely there will be healthy offspring. That's possible. That's very possible. Hey, Craig, your sound is clipping a bit. Uh-oh. I wish you guys would have told me earlier if the sound is not good. Can you guys confirm? Can I get some independent confirmation on the sound level? Better scent than diving in the ocean. Okay. I'll cut in the okay. Craig, how does the Bitcoin logo appear on all those fleece jackets and vests that I see you and Bree wearing on Flickr and Instagram and all? Did you give them free promotion on your own time and dime? I talk about Bitcoin, and you could use the term promote Bitcoin because I believe in Bitcoin, because I believe it's good for humanity. So even though I don't get paid to do that, again, if the network grows, I own a significant amount of Bitcoin, so I will benefit. Don't get me wrong. I will benefit if the network grows and expands because I own Bitcoin. But no, nobody's paying me. Bitcoin isn't paying me. Now, the clothing items that you saw, I think, are Breeze, Bree Fit Dance. They've got Bree Fit Dance on them, and then they've got the Bitcoin logo on them. Those we also use to promote a sponsor of mine, which is Grimes Graphics, that does that embroidery work. And so we have used those to promote a sponsor of mine who does pay me. And so we've used those to promote his work. So we did get paid by him, not by Bitcoin, by him to show off his embroidery work. So I basically make money a whole lot of different ways. I got money flowing in from every freaking where. You know, I got what we call multiple streams of income. That's what I would suggest for everybody. Have multiple streams of income. Tim, I agree, but what about their personality? If you're just going to have offspring, what do you care about their personality? Just have their offspring and then kick them to the curb, right? Isn't this a pen review channel? I've also got some pens that I've talked about. That's correct. My favorite site are people driving by themselves in a car with the windows up and they're wearing a mask. It's just so ridiculous. The whole mask thing is so ridiculous. And I've been right, by the way, since day one. I said the masks were silly. And now all the data that's coming in is showing that masks didn't help one bit. They didn't slow the spread at all. It spread equally in areas where there was heavy mask use compared to areas where there wasn't. countries that didn't lock down did just as well as countries that did lock down. The lockdowns didn't help. The masks didn't help. We were had. Carlos says sound is good here. Okay, thank you. Bree says sound is good. Grimes Graphics Embroidery. Let's see. How many beers will you smash watching NFL today? I'm not going to watch NFL today. Carlos, I only just started to get into the whiskey. Tim McDonald, personally, of course, critical, particularly these days. Personality, of course, is critical, particularly these days. Imagine getting married with someone that you don't get along with for 50 years. No, I think she was just talking about having offspring, Tim. No. We're not talking about a long-term relationship here. She's talking about basically a sperm donor. No, I'm just joking. Guys. Come on, don't take it seriously. Anyway, if you do not like whiskey, how you know? Okay, Kyle's in the house. People are still double and triple masked here in LA. Oh, jeez, what a bunch of nimwits. Anyway, Craig, do you notice that there's no one talking about exercise, proper diet, and vitamin D? Good point. Well, they can't keep selling you all these pharmaceuticals if you get in shape. If you eat right and get in shape, they can't sell you all these pharmaceuticals. How is Pfizer going to make record profits next quarter, right? If they can't sell you a whole bunch of stuff. All right, I'm going to wrap this up. You guys are trying to delay things. I can see that. Craig, what would you do if you weren't? What would you do if you went to an NFL game with a client and he were to kneel during the anthem? Oh, jeez. Oh, man. Oh, that's sad. I think most of my clients would not. That's a good one. Big pharma is demand driven, so chronically sick people equals profit. Yeah. I mean, look at the whole opioid crisis, right? They get a whole bunch of people addicted on opioids, and then they got to keep selling them to opioids, right? I mean, my gosh, it's a great business model if you don't give a rat's rear end about, people. So there's that. All right. On that note, I'm going to get depressed if we start talking about this stuff, and I don't want to get depressed right now. Let me make sure there's no more email. Yeah, no, I think we're good on the email. And thank you guys for watching. It's been a great show. It's been real. And we will do it again soon. And can't promise when, but we will do it. Time check on the O2 we just did. My older son just got delayed 10 days this semester in person classes in San Diego. My younger son is doing remote school for at least 1 week starting this morning. I need a place to travel soon. I hear you. And I hate to say it, but I don't know if you can come to the socialist state of Maryland. I think the socialist state of Maryland is locking down again. So here we go again. Thanks, everybody, for watching.